So how does this work for your exit, right? Or if you're helping your clients succeed on their exit, well, it's pretty straightforward, right? What is, first of all, priceless for them, right? I think the priceless things, Dan, are time, family, right? The ability to pursue the things that you feel is your next calling in life, have the freedom to do that. The ability to be able to give back in a very generous way. Those are just a few that come to mind for what's priceless. What are some other priceless things that come to mind, Dan?
I mean, I think just the situation most of our clients find themselves in is priceless in the sense that there's only 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 moments in their life where they have the chance for a very, very large exit. And that's the moment to win. That's the moment to utilize our structure to defer that capital gain so you have an additional 25, 35, 45% of your funds that you've spent your life working, working for you. And that's the moment where you can lose, because say it's even something smaller like $1 million exit and you walk away with only 600,000. You worked all those years to make the $1 million and instantly you lost that 40% if you're in a state like us, like California. Or you do the deferral and you get the full $1 million and it's working for you and it's compounding and growing. That moment is like a defining moment for a lot of our clients because they've worked.
Hey, welcome everybody. This is Brett Swarts with Capital Gains Tax Solutions with Dan Palmer. We're here again. And let's start with the story today, Dan. I remember it was freshman year of basketball at Point Loma Nazarene University. It's San Diego. It's one of the most beautiful campuses you can imagine, right on the ocean. And I was a walk-on to play basketball. In fact, I played basketball in high school, but didn't get any scholarships. And so I said, I want to play in college. And so I remember calling the coach, and the coach, the assistant coach called back and said, hey, just make sure you're in good shape, right? And so I started running these hills back in Rockland, California. I mean, it was 100 degrees out in the summer, and I'd sprint this hill right next to my old elementary school called Parker Whitney. And this hill I would run 5 or 6 times, and you're toast. But I mean, it's a steep hill in 100-degree weather. So I came in like the best shape of my life. So I'm excited, right? Because I'm going to compete against guys who have scholarships that are more skilled than me, older than me, most of them. I remember trying out for the team, and I was the one of only 2 freshmen to make the team. The other freshman, his name was Corey. He's from Texas. He was a top recruit. He was on scholarship. He was awesome. He was definitely better than me, but I had a chance to play with him every day after practice. But before the season started, we had Coach challenge us to this run, right? This cross-country run. And Coach was great because Coach Wilmore, he played with Coach K at Army, right? So he knew Coach K, and this guy was just old school in all the good ways. Also, great basketball mind, and he played tennis these days because that was kind of his sport. But he had the tan, the gray hair, just looks like a classic coach. Like if you picture a coach, like Coach K, Coach Wilmore, John Wooden types, just amazing. Okay, and so he goes, all right, we're gonna do this run, and this run is gonna be about 3.5 miles or so, and we're gonna do it 5 a.m. I think we did 3 days a week, prior to like about a month and a half before our season started. So we're doing it for like 6 weeks, 3 days a week. Here's the cool thing, Dan. I started to win every single race. Part of it because I was in really great shape, but number 2, I wanted to make the team. Like I didn't want to get cut. And so I got named the Rabbit. And so I'll never forget, we're coming into the very last race, and Coach is like, all of you are either older or more athletic than Brett, but who's going to catch the rabbit? He's the rabbit. Who's going to catch the rabbit? And I was like, I was up for the challenge. And so, because I was like, no one's catching the rabbit, right? So at this point, I'm getting kind of a little bit cocky because it's like, these guys haven't caught me in like 6 weeks on like so many races. And this one guy, his name was Matt, and Matt was like he was like a 3'4", kind of guard big, but he had long legs. He's like 6'5", and he came from like Washington State, and he kind of had like that surfer cut that kind of went down a little bit, and he wore like a headband. He looked like a classic like 1970s Celtics player. Yeah. And he's like, I'm going to catch the rabbit, Brett. I'm going at him. And so I remember we're running. You go all the way down to like the halfway mark is you go out of Point Loma, you go down, out on the main road, and you run up basically towards the ocean, towards the naval base. So running up, you touch this pole, and then you keep running back. So we're doing that. boom, we're coming around the corner, the final bend back in Point Loma, and we're sprinting. We're both sprinting as fast as we can, and we cross the line, and we tied. We literally tied. Like, and coach is like, you tied. You didn't beat the rabbit, you tied. And so I held on to like the glory, right? But the point of all that was momentum, right, is such a big piece of everything we do in life, right? And how do you get momentum, how you keep momentum is, it can be difficult, right? In fact, we believe it's more powerful than all of our leadership, resources, and strategies combined. Momentum is the one thing, when it's on your side, everything gets easier. But momentum can be hard to get back when you lose it, right? And so you have to steward your momentum in every way possible. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's talk about some momentum, Dan. What's a momentum moment in your life? Maybe it was football growing up. Maybe it was basketball. Was there a sports analogy that you have on, like my rabbit story here?
I mean, I think when you're competitive and driven, it kind of bleeds into a lot of areas of your life. And, you know, in order to get momentum, you know, it takes a lot of effort to get the ball kind of rolling. And then the momentum in my mind is like, once the ball's rolling, if you have a little bit of a down slope, it's already moving, it's already going. It's easy to keep it going, it's easy to speed it up, but you have to get there. And for me, I think just being competitive was the thing that got the ball rolling. You know, school, I didn't love school. And my mom used to always be like, I don't know why you don't like school. You're so good at it. And I was like, the reason I do good is because I can't handle the idea that this person sitting next to me is getting an A and I'm getting a B. Like, I can't get a B if that guy's getting an A. And so that competitiveness can drive you even in areas where maybe you're not naturally enthusiastic about. But once the ball starts rolling, you become what I call a winner. And, you know, there's a saying, you know, winners win and losers lose. And what it means is when you learn how to win and you expect to win, you find a way to win. And when you become accustomed to losing, that momentum also carries and you find a way to lose. Now, Brett, you and I are both originally from Sacramento, so our team's the Kings. I still get mad when I'm in Sacramento and people say they're Golden State Warrior fans because I'm like, we're in Sacramento, dude. You can't like the Oakland team. You live here. I understand the bandwagoning of it, but it's like the Warriors figured out how to win. The Kings had the losing momentum. They could have a 10-point lead with a minute left in the game, and somehow they would find a way to turn the ball over, make a dumb decision, and find a way to lose. Where the Warriors, even if they were down 10 points with a minute left, the momentum, the winning momentum would carry them and they would find a way to win. And so, you know, when I'm talking to people, I like the competitive angle, whether it's investing, whether it's, you know, tax deferral, like, hey, we got this whole world and everyone's trying to kind of build legacy. Everyone's trying to accomplish things. And there's people that are ahead of you. There's people that are smarter, that have already done it, have experience. Are you learning and are you building that winning momentum to where as you go through the stages of life, you're catching on, you're figuring out, you're making your own breaks, you're learning from the right people, and you're building that momentum to create a legacy that's going to last. And so, you know, I think when I think of momentum, I think winners win and losers lose, whether it's the tide coming in, the winning momentum, or the tide going out. That momentum is going to pull you to one of two destinations.
I love it. I love it. And it's so true. The Sacramento Kings, the moment that Vlade Divac, we had a chance to get all the momentum, and instead he slapped it out to Robert Horry for the game winner, which crushed forever the Kings' legacy of winning a championship. I think that was the moment that the momentum was forever lost for the Sacramento Kings. Now, maybe they'll come back at some point. Fox is gone into greener pastures, almost winning an NBA championship.
Yeah, and he just carried the losing momentum to the Spurs. And
he did.
Instead of just pulling the ball out,
by the way, he played pretty terrible the last two games. Like, I was like, get him out of the game.
But when he had that ball with a few seconds left, and all he had to do was dribble up and get fouled and make the free throws, the game's over, and he tries to do a layup anyway, gets blocked, they go down and win the game. It was like, that's the Kings all over again. This is like what the losing momentum is.
You nailed it, right? And even in the other games, like what's his name? Their other guard was really solid. The young guy, the rookie.
Dylan Harper. Ron
Yeah,
Harper's
Harper.
son.
And you're like, get that guy the ball and get Fox out of the way. Even Charles Barkley, I think, was saying. Charles was like, get Fox out of the game. Like, it just wasn't his series, right? Like,
Yeah.
get Dylan Harper.
Fox has all the ability and the skill, but when you've been in a losing organization, you can make losing decisions. And that's why I would encourage any listeners, surround yourself with winners. Like, find a way to get around people that are ahead of you. Our ego wants to surround ourselves with people that we feel we're better than. But what really benefits us long term is to find those people that are a step ahead, 2 steps ahead, and get around them. And I used to always tell people when I was mentoring young kids, I say you're going to be the sum total of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And if they're ahead of you and they're achieving, you're going to achieve. If they're sitting around wasting their life, you're going to end up wasting your life. So surround yourself with some people that can teach you how to win in life.
Love it. And so here's the point we want you to think about. Momentum is hard to build, easy to lose, and it's priceless to keep, right? And as it pertains to exits, this is a classic thing. Like, I was running those hills. Part of what kept the momentum for me to win those races so many times in a row at early mornings was because, 2 months prior to that, I was running hills, like sprinting for probably ran that hill, I don't know, 30 times over a period of 60 days. And it was June and July heat, and then we get there, basically I think around early August to get university started right at Point Loma. So I was running those hills, and I know those guys weren't working as hard as I was. There's no way. They didn't have the heat. They weren't sprinting. So I knew in my mind that I had all of the momentum when it came to running. Now, basketball skills, I had a ways to go, right? I was one of 10 players to make the team, to travel with the team. We went to the national championship tournament, which was great. We beat Loyola Marymount. Didn't get a lot of playing time. I rode that momentum through to become the most inspirational player, which was awesome for me, right? Like, if there was one thing I could win, and we were great. 3 guys played overseas. We are a great team, and I was just grateful to be on the team. But I remember that momentum had me, for being the best shape. I think they said Jeff Garcia was an example of this. He was always the guy who was in best shape. Those are the things that you can control, right? It's how hard you work and prepare on the off season to get there. But again, momentum is hard to build, it's easy to lose, and it's priceless to keep. So how does this work for your exit, right? Or if you're helping your clients succeed on their exit, well, it's pretty straightforward, right? What is, first of all, priceless for them, right? I think the priceless things, Dan, are time, family, right? The ability to pursue the things that you feel is your next calling in life, have the freedom to do that. The ability to be able to give back in a very generous way. Those are just a few that come to mind for what's priceless. What are some other priceless things that come to mind, Dan?
I think just the situation most of our clients find themselves in is priceless in the sense that there's only 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 moments in their life where they have the chance for a very, very large exit. And that's the moment to win. That's the moment to utilize our structure to defer that capital gain so you have an additional 25, 35, 45% of your funds that you've spent your life working, working for you. And that's the moment where you can lose, because say it's even something smaller like $1 million exit and you walk away with only 600,000. You worked all those years to make the $1 million, and instantly you lost that 40% if you're in a state like us, like California. Or you do the deferral and you get the full $1 million, and it's working for you and it's compounding and growing. That moment is like a defining moment for a lot of our clients because they've climbed the ladder, and they have a chance at that moment to stay at that point of the ladder and then climb to the next level. Or if they get too scared or they don't learn the possibilities that are out there, we always say the rich stay rich because they're smart. They got CPAs, they got the people that understand how the tax code works, and they have a chance to fall down all those rungs to a financial plateau that maybe they were at a decade ago, and they had earned and they could climb to the next level, but they lose all their momentum when that big tax bill hits. And if they would have just talked to the right people, did the right research, met some of our clients who are ahead of them who've done this, they could learn, and that could be the next burst of momentum to take them to the next level.
Yeah, spot on. And the other thing I've been studying is like, if you lose 10%, it's not that you need to make 10% back on your investment or your amount, right? And I'll get the exact numbers here. And I was just looking at this. I think it's like you need to earn 25%. So let me ask our good friend here, Chat GPT, and
I think what's happening is you lose the 10%, but you also lose the compounding nature of that 10%. So, if you were able to hold on to, 400,000, and using the example we were using before, that 400,000 at 10% is going to kick off 40,000 a year compounding moving forward. And so I think not only do you lose that initial, amount of money, but you lose everything it would have produced for you in the years ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so here's an example from chat. It says gain needed equals loss divided by remaining value. So if you invest $100 and lose 50%, you now have $50. To get back to $100, you need to make $50 on the remaining $50, which is 100% gain. Right? So let's just say, let's start with half. Let's say you have a $10 million exit and you're going to pay 50% in tax. Well, you don't need to, and you just exited 100% of your business. All right, that was worth 10 million, but 50% is gone. It's almost like you ran two businesses at the same time, Dan, and you sold them both for 10 million each. Think about that, right? There's one way to think about it. Now, it's not quite 50, although it can be. If you're using a C corp, it can be up to 60 or 70%. But just that thought of this, even if it's 30 or 40%, you basically have to double, right? You have to double what you lost in order to get it back. It's 30% is a 42.9% gain, Dan. 20% loss is a 25% gain. 10% loss is 11.1% gain. Gain needed back to break even. Plus what you just said, you've lost the ability to compound on that, right? So if you were earning cash flow along the way, it wasn't just like a stock that you bought for, $100 a share and it's down to 50. If it was producing a dividend or it was an investment that was producing cash flow, then you lose that ability as well. So this is what we're talking about here is momentum. And so we want to give you a framework to think about, right? And it's really based upon math and looking at a side-by-side comparison of, do you use a capital gains tax exit plan? We use an installment sale with a trust, the way we structure our sales typically. And what's the cost of that? What's the return on investment? How much more purchasing power do you have? Does it unlock truly passive income for you? Does it also get you the priceless ability to have more time on your side versus just paying the tax, right? That's the big decision, the momentum moment. It's the game 7, it's the fourth quarter, it's 10 seconds to go, right? It's the ninth inning and there's 2 outs and you've got an opportunity prior to the exit, by the way, important, to set this up and to execute. So I think the behavior that we really need to get clear on is to really choose the courageous choice, right? That, hey, I'm going to do everything I can to keep momentum on my side and to build a capital gains tax exit plan, just like I've built my business, right? And spending just a little bit of intentionality can go compounding and multiply, your freedom, your impact, your finances. Any other thoughts on that, Dan?
Yeah, I would just tell the people listening, be as smart as the government is. They created tax deferral because they found out you're really good at making money. And they're okay with you holding on to your money long term because you've proven that you can multiply and grow it. And the government can play the long game. And they know one day you're going to die and maybe your kid will step into your shoes and they'll just say, I don't want to deal with the trustee. I don't want to talk with a tax attorney. I've never had this much money before. Just in the trust and pay the tax and give me what's left. And the government will get their big piece then. And so what the government's really doing is what we're talking about. They're keeping the momentum going with your expertise and your wisdom and your intelligence. The tax code, this isn't about tax evasion or tax avoidance. This is tax deferral. It's the government's idea. It's them playing the long game so the people that know how to make money can make more of it over their life. And the government knows it'll get his piece down the road. And what we're telling you is the same thing's on your side. If you can hold on to more of that money, you can make more. Sure, the government's going to get their piece down the road, but in the meantime, you can exponentially grow your wealth if you're able to hold on to it. That momentum will push you forward to the next levels of earning, of your material possessions, and of your impact. And so I think the challenge really is to have that mindset, the same mindset really that the government wrote in the tax code, right, Brett? To basically say, these people know how to earn money. Let's let them multiply it so the tax is multiplied down the road. We can say, let me multiply my money. Yeah, I'm going to pay tax along the way, maybe sometime down the future, but it's going to redound to the blessing of my family also.
Amen and amen. And by the way, who is this perfect for? Just so as you wrap this up, I think it's perfect for anyone who has a large business, real estate, Bitcoin stock exit of above $1 million net proceeds, $1 million gains. So these are larger gains, larger exits, large tax. Who qualifies? Really anyone who's setting this up prior to the close of escrow or prior to the sale of the asset. You need to set it up, get it in place. This is part of what we're here to help you with. We're a trustee company that builds capital gains tax exit plans for purpose-driven entrepreneurs and investors who are exiting highly appreciated assets. In fact, we wrote a book on it too called Building a Capital Gains Tax Exit Plan. You can find that on Amazon. We got Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank in the book, which is pretty cool. And it's basically the story of learning the hard way through the 2008 crash, what we wish we would have known at 2005, 2006, before everything really shifted in 07 and 08. It's all about building a capital gains tax exit plan, the top mistakes that people make, having a tax flow, cash flow, and debt flow mindset, understanding how those correlate to help you make great decisions to keep momentum on your side. And that's what we want to do. We want to help you and your family to keep momentum on your side with your exits. And who also is really good for this, anyone who has estate tax. Estate tax is the kind of the silent one there that, or the one that's maybe least talked about. It's the elephant in the room, and that's a 40% death tax on anyone who's above 30 million married or 15 million single. Those can shift, by the way. They happen to be the highest they've been in a long time. They can go back to 15 million married. They can go back to 7 million married. Who knows what happens in the future? But right now, they're the highest they've been. But if you have a large exit, that's a momentum moment for the death tax to get it out of your taxable estate, to get out and eliminate the death tax. So Dan was talking about deferral. We also have a strategy that eliminates the death tax completely. So if you knew you can eliminate 40% on anything above 30 million or 50, married or 15 million single, that's as great as it gets for momentum, right? This is not just a deferral, that's an elimination. So we want to encourage you to also check that out if you have these types of exits and that kind of net worth. Again, go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to learn more. I'm Brett Swarts, he's Dan Palmer. Appreciate you listening or watching out there, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Bye now.